I'm Alan Muldoon. I'm the bike test editor at MBR, and today I've got a bike that I'm really excited to show you. Come with me and we'll take a closer look. So here it is, the new Whyte E-160. And today I'm joined by Shucksmith, the lead engineer on Whyte's e-bike project, to talk about the new bike. But before we get into the details, we're going to go over a bit of the background on the development of this bike. Whyte was one of the first brands to come to market with a Gen 4 Bosch motor. I mean, how did you even develop an e-bike when the motor didn't exist?
Yeah, so we were developing this at the same time Bosch were developing their drive system. So we only had sample parts to use from them. So we had a motor that had no motor inside, just a case, and a battery with no cells in. So we had to boost the battery up to weight by filling it with bike chains. Okay, so you basically replicated the weight of the e-bike, but you had no pedal assistance? Non-functional parts, we also needed to replicate the weight. So we ballasted up to the designed weight to allow us to test the bike. So basically you were pedaling around on like a 50-pound e-bike with no assistance. Exactly, yeah. So riding an e-bike with all that mass without any power. Wow. It's quite tiring, but it gave us the advantage of being able to develop the bike.
So did you glean any insights from that? Because obviously when you've got the motor, it's a big distraction.
Yeah, I guess if you had that power, that would be taking your focus away from how the bike actually rides when it's not being assisted.
Yeah.
So just learning how a bike rides with all that extra weight, which you're obviously not used to until now, that was really important.
Yeah, because at that time, I remember talking to you about like e-bikes and like shock tunes and suspension, and how like I was playing with some bikes and putting lighter shock tunes on it because I thought that made the bikes feel more dynamic. And I remember asking you, hey Sam, why do e-bikes need more damping? And I remember you telling me they don't. Could you like explain a little bit about that?
I guess some people maybe think that because you've got extra weight you need more damping, but actually if you think about how you ride an e-bike, you don't need the pedaling efficiency that you need on a normal bike because you've got that power given to you for free. So you can actually set up suspension more for absorbing bumps without having to consider the pedaling efficiency, and then you can really get benefits.
I mean, for me, one of the key advantages that I felt from that, like within like 2 or 3 corners, was the fact that even though the bike's not light, it felt really dynamic.
Yeah, I think allowing the bike to move is really important. And the bike's got more weight, so it's more stable. So you don't need to get the stability from the damping, so you can really benefit.
Also, the motors are really constant. Like it's a constant power delivery. So like it kind of smooths out your pedaling action too, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you can be quite choppy, but as you say, when the motor's delivering smooth power, you're going to get a bit less bob.
But like, it's not just about the overall weight of the bike, it's where that weight is. And you did some clever things with this bike to get the weight as low as possible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really important to get the center of gravity as low as possible. So what we did is we rotated the motor, tilted it up a little bit, which meant that you could slide the battery underneath the motor. So typically the motor would be more horizontal and the battery would sit
on top of it?
Sit on top of the motor, exactly. But we've managed to slide it down about 150 mil. So it's sitting underneath the motor and, as you can see, dramatically reducing the center of gravity.
Like one of the things you notice, like with a bike that's got like a low center of gravity, whether it's an e-bike or a normal bike, is that, especially if it's actually not just low, if it's centered on the bike, it just makes the bike so much easier to maneuver. And I think especially the key thing with the e-bikes really is because you've got the battery in the down tube, and if it's further up and further forward, it makes things a little bit more tricky, like lifting the front up and stuff like that, and makes the handling feel less kind of neutral.
Yeah, definitely. So it has a big effect on how agile and dynamic the bike feels. Combine that with the light tunes on the suspension, you get a really playful and lively bike.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing like I noticed today getting back on it is that like you can pick it up, you can move it, you can do what you want. It's just like it defies its weight in a way. So that's enough about the development of the bike. let's take a closer look at what's changed from the E-150 to the E-160. So Sam, what's new about the E-160? Obviously the name's changed, so I'm assuming the travel's changed.
Yeah, exactly. So the 160 refers to the fork travel.
Yeah.
So it's now gone up 10 mil to 160. It's also gone up 5 mil on the back compared to the previous bike.
So the previous bike had 150. This bike's got 155 on the rear.
Yeah.
And it's not just the travel that's increased on the front. I mean, the fork's got bigger, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've got the new 38 on here.
Yeah.
It's got 38 mil upper tubes, a bit stiffer for the extra weight of the e-bike, and it really fits in with the aesthetic.
Yeah, especially with like the beefier down tubes, like the bigger upper tubes, it just kind of matches better, doesn't it? And the loads that go through the bike as well. So Bosch has also made some changes to the motor, that's right, isn't it? Or at least to the software.
Yeah, so there's a new software update which increased the torque from 75 to 85 Newton meters.
Yeah.
They also changed the way the powers override a little bit. So when you pedal, there's a bit more of a lag as it continues to give you power.
Yeah, so it's got a little bit more overrun on it, so that basically when you're like trying to climb up a step or something and you can't, there's not enough room to get a pedal turn in, the motor still gives you a little bit of assistance just to keep you moving.
Yeah,
which
adds a bit of pop to the ride as well.
And it's really important on a heavy bike, because if it stops, it's actually like, it's a lot harder to get going again. But one thing I've really noticed riding the Bosch motor is that it's pretty quick on pickup. So if you do stall out on a climb, it's actually easier than some other bikes just to get moving again. Sam, have there been any changes to the specification on the bike?
Yeah, so we've gone to a 220 mil rotor on the front, bit of extra stopping power.
Yeah.
Also got the new WTBE bike specific rims, which are really good because the back wheel on an e-bike
takes a beating, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It takes a beating.
So those are holding up really well. And then we've gone to the new Eagle 52 tooth cassette.
Now, there'll be some people listening to this thinking like, what do you need 52 tooth cog on the back of a bike that's got a motor? But like, you can really climb steep gradients on this bike. And one of the things I've noticed is that if you can keep the cadence high, then you can really keep the bike moving. And that's where the lower gears like really come to an advantage, or really bring an advantage. And also, like, if you run out of power, you've got a heavy bike with good tires on it, and like, you might end up needing an easy gear just to get it back to the car. So with all of the updates, has the geometry changed?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, the head angle's still the same, reach and stack remain the same for all the sizes. The rear center's got a little bit longer, and the bottom bracket, due to the extra travel, has also gone up a little bit. Okay,
so it's still it's still very close to the E-150.
Yeah, it is very close.
Like, one other thing is that, like, for anyone that's got an E-150 and they want to get the software update, they could just take that to a Whyte dealer that had a Bosch diagnostic tool and increase the torque on their motor.
Yeah, I think any Whyte dealer should be able to do that.
Excellent, because like, you feel it. Like, you feel it when you're on the climbs and stuff. It's just got a bit more oomph and a bit more drive to it.
Yeah, and that delayed power onset that we were talking about also makes a difference.
Yeah, the runover on the motor like makes a really big difference, especially like for technical climbing, or just if you need to give the bike a little boost and then get your pedals level. It's great for that. So that's a quick look at the new Whyte E-160. For more details on the specification, the price, and my first ride impressions, head over to mbr.co.uk.